The meaning of life is one of the oldest and most profound themes in philosophy, debated for centuries and explored in diverse ways by different philosophical schools, leading to a variety of answers to this question. Currently, some established theories are the most influential, and their critiques and theoretical foundations deeply reflect on the vast question of existentialism and the meaning of life. In debating questions related to the meaning of life, some theories called theological theories have emerged. In Christianity, for example, the meaning of life is intrinsically linked to God. The central belief is that God created human beings with a purpose, and this purpose is to know, love, and serve God, ultimately achieving eternal life with Him. A common critique of this view is the problem of evil and suffering in the world. If life has a benevolent purpose given by a loving God, why is there so much suffering? Another critique is the reliance on faith. Without concrete proof of God's existence, some argue that this perspective is based on subjective beliefs, founded on feeling and contemplating the divine existence through faith, based on experiencing the so-called supernatural and the inexplicable. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the meaning of life is to attain moksha, or liberation from the cycle of reincarnations, samsara, through the realization of the true self, Atman, and its union with Brahman, the supreme reality. In Buddhism, the purpose of life is to achieve nirvana, a state of liberation from suffering in the cycle of rebirths, attained through understanding the Four Noble Truths and practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. These views are often criticized for being too abstract and difficult for most people to achieve. Additionally, the idea of reincarnation and karma relies on specific beliefs that may not be universally accepted or evidenced. During discussions and long debates, the so-called secular philosophical theories also emerged, where religion does not play a significant role, but rather rational and philosophical thought is directly and specifically directed at debating the subject. There is a strong presence of philosophy and philosophers who develop their own theses, hypotheses, and philosophies to broadly and thoroughly address and discuss this topic. In existentialism, for example, philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus argue that life has no inherent meaning, it is up to the individual to create their own meaning. Sartre asserts that existence precedes essence, meaning that there is no predetermined human nature, and it is through our actions that we define who we are. A major critique of existentialism is that it can lead to nihilism, where the absence of intrinsic meaning can be seen as a lack of purpose, potentially resulting in despair or apathy. Furthermore, the total responsibility for one's own meaning can be overwhelming for some people. Absurdism, also developed by Albert Camus, argues that the search for the meaning of life is absurd because life has no intrinsic meaning, and the search for meaning collides with the indifference of the universe. Camus suggests that we should embrace the absurd and live life to the fullest, creating personal meaning despite the lack of intrinsic meaning. Absurdism is criticized for its apparent resignation to meaninglessness and for encouraging a non-search for such an answer. For some, this may seem like giving up on finding a greater purpose and can be seen as a pessimistic perspective. Naturalistic and scientific theories have also been developed in the quest for the meaning of life. A classic and well-known scientific theory is Darwinism, which views the meaning of life in terms of evolution and survival. Life exists to reproduce and perpetuate genes. Richard Dawkins, in his well-known work, The Selfish Gene, argues that organisms are vehicles for the replication of genes, also based on the theory of natural selection. This view can be criticized for its lack of consideration for the subjective and emotional aspects of human existence. Reducing life to biological processes can seem unsatisfactory for those seeking a deeper or religious purpose, generating debates between life and religion, which are non-existent in this theory, considering only the natural and biological side. Secular humanism proposes that the meaning of life can be found in human experiences and the pursuit of well-being. Values such as the pursuit of knowledge, creativity, love, and solidarity are central. Although this view is attractive to many, it can be criticized for not offering a transcendent meaning and for being limited to purely human experiences, which may seem insufficient or limited to some people. Relativist theories are a school of thought that holds that there are no absolute and universal truths, but rather that all truths are relative and depend on individual or cultural contexts and perspectives. Thus, we enter cultural relativism, which suggests that the meaning of life can vary according to different cultures and historical contexts. What is considered significant in one culture may not be in another. The critique of cultural relativism is that it can lead to cultural nihilism, where all perspectives are seen as equally valid, making it difficult to criticize harmful cultural practices. The multiplicity of answers to the question about the meaning of life, from theological to naturalistic approaches, demonstrates the richness and diversity of human experience. However, this diversity can also be seen as a challenge. The absence of a universal answer can be unsettling for those seeking a single, definitive truth, generating a conflict between objectivity and subjectivity. One significant critique is the conflict between objective and subjective approaches to the meaning of life. Theological and some philosophical approaches propose an objective meaning, given by a higher entity or even a universal structure for reasoning. In contrast, existentialist and humanist theories propose that the meaning of life is subjective and must be created by the individual, generating a conflict that can cause a sense of uncertainty or even disorientation, as the search for an objective truth can collide with the reality of a deeply subjective experience. The meaning of life can be strongly influenced by cultural and historical contexts. What is considered significant or purposeful in one culture may be irrelevant or even incomprehensible in another. This cultural relativity raises questions about the universality of answers to the meaning of life and suggests that any answer must consider the cultural and historical context. A common critique of theological views is the problem of evil and suffering in the world. If life has a benevolent purpose given by a higher being, how can we explain the existence of so much suffering and injustice? This question is a significant challenge for theological and philosophical approaches that propose an intrinsic and benevolent meaning to life. Existentialist and absurdist theories, which place the responsibility for the meaning of life on the individual, can be both liberating and overwhelming. The freedom to create one's own meaning can be empowering, but it can also be a heavy burden for those who feel lost or overwhelmed by the absence of a predetermined meaning while seeking concrete answers. The Darwinist view and other scientific perspectives provide a naturalistic basis for understanding life but are often criticized for being reductive and not capturing the depth of human experience. Science can explain the biological mechanisms of life but often overlooks deeper questions about purpose and meaning that transcend biology, conflicting with the supernatural and inexplicable aspects related to faith and feeling without seeing, touching, or experiencing. Thus, we can understand that the question of the meaning of life continues to be a vibrant and multifaceted field of debate in philosophy. Each theory offers a unique perspective and faces critiques that help refine and evolve our understanding through ongoing debates and the relentless search for answers in this realm. In analysis, the search for the meaning of life can be a deeply personal journey, where each individual must weigh and analyze these theories and find their own unique and personal answer based on their own beliefs and reflections. This was today's reflection, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and keep philosophizing. We'll see you in the next video, and remember, it's not enough to acquire wisdom, one must use it.